Well, if you wouldn't mind just keeping an eye out for us, Joe, if we get anybody joining late on.
Yeah, no
So,
worries.
good evening, everyone. Thank you for being patient. I know despite me asking you to make sure you're prompt for a quick start, that we're actually a couple of minutes late. So apologies for that. Just trying to work through a technical issue or two, which I will explain as we're going along. But the plan for this evening, hopefully shouldn't take us much more than about an hour, give or take, depending on how many questions that everybody might have. The plan is to go through where we're sort of up to at the moment with affiliation. There'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions as well, and then a demonstration of how the system looks going forward. There's a few dates for your diary. I did mention to everybody if you could make sure you got a pen and paper. So the opening date for affiliation is the 19th of June. So what I'm showing you this evening, you can do part of it, but you can't actually start the affiliation process until the 19th of June. So don't be surprised if you try and go some of the stuff that I'm going to show you this evening and you're not able to. That is to be expected. Throughout the evening, if you do have any questions, if I could ask you either to raise your hand, and my colleague Joe will unmute you and allow you to use your microphone, or to use the chat option, in which Joe will shout out the questions and I will do my best to answer them. You'll probably all notice that your microphones are muted by default. That is just to ensure that we don't get lots of feedback in the background. So fingers crossed, we should be okay doing that. But as I say, if there is anything you do want to cover, just press the raise your hand, and Joe will get you in as soon as we can. So in textbook FA style, part of the affiliation, you'll probably have noticed that the whole game system and platform for football, as it's going to be known going forward, has been down for the past 4 or 5 days during the season rollover. And as I say, in classic FA style, part of the affiliation is not back up and running yet. So I'm going to be able to show you about 90% of what you need to see this evening. The part that you can't see, I wouldn't worry too much because it's relatively straightforward. However, we do have another workshop on Monday next week, and there'll be a recording available. So rather than you having to sit through all of that again, I'll clip the last end bit, and anybody that's was on tonight, I will forward them the clipped last 5 minutes or so. So hopefully you shouldn't be able to miss too much, but there is 1 or 2 things that will be missing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack on with the presentation, and Joe, if you don't mind shouting up when we have any hands up with any questions that need answering, that'd be brilliant.
Not a problem.
So the idea of this evening is I'm going to cover sort of an introduction to affiliation and what the changes are going to look like in the club portal going forward. You'll notice a shift in the change of name. What was previously known as the whole game system, or WGS fondly to most people, is changing away from that, and it's changing to platform for football. Specifically for clubs, it will be known as club portal. You've probably already seen the changes with player registration and the new look, and that is how it's going to look going forward. What I'm going to cover first, and you'll have to apologise, I've got several screens going on, so if I'm not looking at the camera, that'll be why. But I'm going to go over a brief history of affiliation and what it's looked like over the last number of years, leading up to sort of where we are today. So any of you that have been involved with the club long enough will, I won't say fondly, but you'll remember the forms, the paper-based forms that used to have to be filled in. That was roughly about 8 years ago. What we would have done is we would have posted out the affiliation forms to you. Then you would have had to, by hand, fill in each team, each coach and each manager that was involved in that. Once you've done that, assuming you've not made any mistakes with it, you would then need to post those forms back with a check. You'd then have to wait probably a couple of weeks to get your affiliation number, and that's on the basis that Royal Mail haven't lost your affiliation application along with the check. For bigger clubs, as you can imagine, that was even more of a pain for having to fill that in for each and every team that they had. On top of that, there was no way of doing any safeguarding checks as such either. So that's where we were a number of years ago. Moving forward a little bit, the paper-based process was then replaced with the whole game system. And I'm sure some of you will fondly remember the queues, the image on the left-hand side there, having to queue up just to get into the whole game system. None of us want to see the return of that, me specifically. But moving things online, it did allow the FA to introduce safeguarding checks and help build a safer environment for everybody to play football. However, despite the turnaround time for your affiliations coming right down, it still took larger clubs quite a period of time to complete. And also, and more frustratingly, the whole game system was quite rigid in how it was actually built. So it meant with an evolving game, with the transition into more digital technology such as mobile phones, the whole game system did struggle to sort of keep up with demand and keep up with technology moving forward. So hopefully what platform for football and club portals going to look like going forward, and the main changes that are going to take place, fingers crossed we can cover the majority of those this evening. What I will say is when we come to show you the current platform, it is in a test environment. It's not in a live environment, and as such, it is temperamental. So if it does drop out or kick me out and I have to log back in, that is sort of to be expected with it being a test environment. But fingers crossed it will go relatively smoothly for us. So moving on to affiliation and how that's going to work going forward. The FA have introduced the technology now and the processes that will allow us to sort of evolve going forward. And what's going to happen is the affiliation window is going to be removed. And previously, you would have had to have had your entire club, every team and every manager ready to affiliate before you can start the affiliation process. Once you're in that position, you would then submit it to us as a county FA. We would then have to manually review that affiliation and every single team and manager in it to make sure that they were all correct and in order. Once we've done that, we would then send it back to you with the invoices. You would then need to pay the invoices, send it back to us to be approved, and your affiliation number would be released. Whilst it was a much quicker process than the paper-based one, it was still, I would say, at least a week to 10 days turnaround, if not longer in peak times. The process is going to be moving away from club affiliation to team affiliation. So you may have a team that has got, sorry, a club that has got 20 or 30 teams in it, and you may have 5 of them ready to go straight away. This new process will enable you to affiliate the teams that are ready to go. That's also going to help with those clubs that have got teams that are at a difficult age range where you're not sure if they're going to carry on or not. You no longer need to waste the money affiliating those, only for them to fold a few weeks later when they've decided that whether they're running or not. This will now allow you to affiliate them as and when you're ready. It's also going to be a lot more mobile friendly, so it's going to allow you to complete it on tablets, and mobile phones and other devices. Whereas before you could still do that, it wasn't really built for mobiles and digital devices. It was built for laptops and computers. So fingers crossed that will open that up for you as well. It's going to be open 365 days a year. And the best part, specifically for us as staff, is it's going to be semi-automated. And what I mean by that is that if you have any teams that are okay to fly straight through their affiliation, there is no need for us to be involved as staff at all. What would happen is you would complete the affiliation process. If everything is correct and in place, you make the payment there and then that team is immediately affiliated. You don't have to wait for us to approve it. There are a few instances where it will still need to come to ourselves to review, and that will be instances such as a club that is owing money from a previous season, or whether there are some safeguarding issues that have been flagged up. But the vast majority should fly through pretty quickly. Also, it is bespoke to your level of football. What I mean by that is some of our senior clubs in the county, such as Stoke and Port Vale, they will see something different and go through a different process to, say, a one-team Sunday League club. And the one-team Sunday League club will go through a different process from that team or club that have got 15 youth teams. And again, that would be different to those that have got disability or women's teams. It will be bespoke for the level that you play at. Moving on, every single club will need to complete a safeguarding declaration. That has come into place. And I think the last ones that you would have accepted was about 2018. And obviously this on the back of the Sheldon report, I'm sure nobody will disagree that having safeguarding in place is best for everybody in football. So this is an annual commitment. It's a really short document, normally a couple of pages. It's just a few. We agree to do the following. I will let you read those in your own time, but just part of the affiliation process, you will just need to approve that as part of your club. Most of you have already have your own stuff in place anyway, but it will just allow you to go through. If you've got youth, if you've got adult teams, there'll be a slightly different one, and if you've got disability teams, it'll be a slightly different one again. If you've got adult, youth, and disability all within the same club, there'll be 2 or 3 declarations for you to read and approve. But I will show you as we go along how quick that process is. I'm just going to cover a couple of the requirements that you're going to need in terms of affiliation. And all these documents and this information will be available afterwards as well. So don't worry too much if there's anything that you miss. Of course, we've got the recording that will be made available also. And it might seem like a lot of information, but it hopefully should be quite straightforward for you. So key officials. So those key officials are secretaries, chairs, treasurers, and welfare officers, which coincidentally is the only people that can complete the affiliation. Team managers are unable to complete the affiliation unless they hold one of those 4 roles. So each of those person will need to hold a safeguarding for committee members, and they'll be required to hold a DBS and welfare officers course, but that's only for the applicable level of football that you're at. Moving on to team officials, so that's your managers, your coaches, assistant managers, and assistant coaches. They will need to be DBS'd and safeguarding for children, and again, that is only applicable to the level of football that you're playing at. Don't worry too much about this slide. As we move forward, you will see exactly what it is that we require. So adult teams, what you're going to need to play football going forward is personal accident insurance. You're going to need to name your ground, which I will show you when we come to the actual process. You will need a named coach, and you'll need a welfare officer. In terms of the welfare officer, that is somebody that needs to be named as a welfare officer. For adult teams, they do not need to hold a specific qualification. So this could be your secretary or treasurer or chairman that is already in place. Moving on to youth teams, again, there's not a great deal that has changed here. The only thing really that is a requirement is team grounds. So you will be required to name what is the specific ground that each team plays at throughout the course of the season. If you have teams that are playing mini soccer or they play at various 3G venues, that's fine. Just go for the one, just put down whichever one that they use more than often. And if they use multiple, you can select a couple. There's also a code at the bottom there as well, which will allow a discount from the safeguarding course. So feel free to note that code down at the bottom. And again, it will be shared after tonight's meeting. So if you've not got a pen and paper, don't worry too much because we can always come back to it. Moving on to disability teams, again, very similar to youth teams. So a team ground will need to be added, and a welfare officer will need to be added here as well. There is a free safeguarding for adults course that will be required for anybody that has a disability team within their club. I suspect the vast majority have already got that in place, but that is a requirement moving forward. So just in terms of a pre-demo of hopefully what we're going to be able to show you, a couple of things that you're going to need to do before you move forward and before you start the affiliation process. So something you can access as soon as the whole games or the platform for football is back up and running. There's probably about 5 or 6 points. So what I would recommend, and you can do this before the affiliation is available, is to check all of your officials, whether it be key officials or team officials, and make sure that their qualifications are in date. or they're not imminently about to expire. So that's your DBSs and your safeguarding checks and so on. So you've got a bit of time before the affiliation window opens. So get those checked and get your old officials that have now left the club, remove them from your club, tidy it up and make your life a bit easier, and start adding those new officials that you know will be coming in. As you'll be required to name your grounds, you'll probably find a lot of the grounds that you use are actually already named and already listed within your club. However, you may have some old grounds that you don't use or some new grounds that you've recently moved to. So you can add those grounds now so they are ready for when the affiliation opens and comes around. You can go through and read those safeguarding declarations that I mentioned. So you can read through those and accept those in advance of the affiliation window opening. One of the most recent changes is you are now able to fold your own teams. So if previously you would have had to come to the county FA and we would have folded those teams for you, whereas now you are in a position to fold your own teams. Don't worry, your managers or your assistant managers can't do this. It's only the people in the 4 key roles. And even if you do somehow manage to accidentally fold a team, it then goes into a sort of waiting list for about 10 days to 2 weeks before it's then officially folded. So if you somehow do it by accident, it is reversible. Or if somebody decides that they want to do it maliciously, again, it's reversible. So you don't need to worry about that. One of the other items you can do before the affiliation is ready and up and running is you can go ahead and assign your teams to the correct leagues. You may have a new team that you've just added. You may have an existing team that is moving into another league. You can assign those to the relevant leagues now, and the same goes for county cups. So if your teams are applicable to enter any of our county cup competitions, you can add those now before the affiliation window opens. For those of you that are on this evening that don't have a club set up at the moment, you might be brand new to us this season. The process you'll need to go through is to contact either myself or one of my colleagues in advance of the 19th. We will set your club up for you, and then you'll be able to access everything that we're going to show you this evening. So it's just a slightly different process if you're a brand new club. But before we move on to any of the demonstration, Joe, is there any questions that are in the chat or any hands up that questions need to answer?
Nothing at the minute, but if anyone wants to ask something, just raise your hand now or pop anything in the chat and I'll pass it on to John.
Fantastic. I'll give that a minute just in case there are any questions. If there are, there will be opportunity to ask more questions as we go along. Anything for us, Joe? Are we okay to move on?
Nothing at the minute.
Okay, fantastic.
It looks all good. I'd say carry on. If we get any more, I'll just stop you.
Brilliant. Okay. So,
Oh, there we go. Hang on 1 second.
all right, I'll back up one. There we go.
Got one from Mark. Mark is asking, what about submitting team accounts?
Okay, so that is no longer a requirement as part of your affiliation. There is an option to upload your accounts, and as a county FA, we will spot check random accounts over the course of the season, as we do already. But the uploading of your accounts as part of the affiliation process is no longer required. So you don't need to update your accounts when it comes to the affiliation process, but absolutely still keep them updated over the course of the season for obvious reasons. But as I say, we will also be randomly selecting clubs each month to call in their accounts to have a look. So hopefully that answers that question.
If any issues with that, Mark, just pop something in the chat just to let us know, and that's great. Thank you. One from Matt as well. What is the cut-off date for teams to be affiliated to play for next season?
There is no cut-off date. Affiliation is now open 365, and I suppose the easiest answer to that, without wanting to deflect, Matt, would be to speak to your league. The reason I say that is every league has a different cut-off in terms of being affiliated and players registered for them to issue you fixtures at the start of the season. Some will say, so long as you're affiliated before you kick a ball on the first day of the season, that is fine. That is acceptable. Others will say they want it 1 or 2 weeks before the first fixture. Others will say they won't even issue you fixtures until they know you're affiliated. So I would say get it done sooner rather than later, but there is no specific cut-off with ourselves as a county FA, but you will absolutely need to be affiliated before your league are realistically going to be looking at giving you any fixtures.
Any issues with that, Matt? Just let us know in the chat and I'll pass it on to John.
Any more questions, Joe?
Just one more, but I can handle that in chat. That's not a problem. Oh, hang on. One more just coming from Chris.
Okay.
What about insurance? Are we able to still get that through the county FA? Might be a good one to explain.
Yes. There's a nice simple answer for that one. So previously, the 2 insurances you would require is a public liability insurance. That is one public liability insurance, which will cover the entire club. And then every single team within your club would require personal accident insurance. So that is still the same, but the FA has changed the wording. So public liability is now known as club insurance, and personal accident insurance is now known as team insurance. So that makes up part of the affiliation process. You cannot affiliate without it. When I mentioned earlier about it being automated or semi-automated, one of the things that will be flagged to us to look at as a county FA is if you have your own insurance policy that is not through SportsGuard, you'll be required to upload the policy document to show that you are insured, and we will then need to review that to make sure it meets the minimum criteria for cover. So that's one of the exceptions to it being automated if you upload your own insurance, private insurance documents. If you select SportsGuard, it doesn't do that. It will automate it. So hopefully that answers that question. Any more for us, Joe, or are we okay to move on?
I think that's us all good for now. Thanks for your acknowledgement, Chris. I think that's all for us. We're good to carry on.
Fantastic. Okay, so what I've just discussed in terms of what you can do before the affiliation window opens, so checking the officials, adding the grounds, doing your declarations, tidying up teams and so on, that's everything you can do now, pretty much. As soon as the platform for football is back up and running, which should be this evening, as soon as that's up and running, you can do all that stuff now. What you can't do until after the affiliation window opens, or what you can do once it opens, is create your new teams, start the actual affiliation process. So you can start affiliating teams as of the 19th. Then I may have, sorry, I'm backtracking a little bit. I may have said that you can add yourself to County Cups now. The County Cups is once the affiliation window opens. So apologies about that. That is the 19th onwards. But the creating of the new teams and affiliating teams, that's what you then do once the affiliation is up and running, which, as that list is a lot shorter, hopefully that shows that you can get all of your 90% of your work done now and just get them over the line once the 19th comes around. And therefore that should make your life a little bit easier because you're not doing it all in one go. So in terms of a little checklist, and what we're going to try and do, I don't know if you want to take a screenshot of that, or whether you've got your phone that you want to take a photo of. That's a bit of a checklist that you can and can't do, or what you can do before affiliation, and then what you can do after affiliation opens. So whether you just want to take a quick photo of that on your phone, that should hopefully help. And then just going to quickly move on to the next slide. Whilst you've got your phones out, it is worth taking a screenshot of that as well, or making a note. So in terms of support and help along the way with your affiliation, there's several different routes that you can take. I know this is quite a lot to take in over a short period of time, and that some of you would prefer to read it on a sort of page by page basis as you're going along. So there will be different various options available. You've got the Grassroots Technology database. So if you go to grassrootstechnology.thefa.com, you can access a database there. If you search the question, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of help guides. So if you were to search County Cups, for example, or how to join County Cup, there will be a guide on that knowledge base that will show you step by step with screenshots on how to do that on the new system. If that doesn't answer your question, you can then submit a ticket on the same portal, grassrootstechnology.thefa.com, and that will go to a team at Wembley who will then endeavour to get back to you as quick as you can. If you want to follow on Twitter for regular updates, they do keep that updated pretty much on a day-to-day basis, but that's at FAGR Tech. So if you don't already follow those, it is worth doing so. And then, of course, you can drop us an email, support@staffordshire.fa.com. That will come to me and some of my colleagues, and we'll endeavour to get back to you as quick as we can. On top of that, tonight's session, as I say, is being recorded. It will be uploaded onto YouTube, so you'll be able to watch it back step by step or pass it on to others in your club if it's not you. And should all of that fail, then you can give me a call and I'll go through it step by step with you, and we can hopefully get that over the line. Just going to knock on to the next page there. There's a couple of key dates in terms of the affiliation process and windows of when it's opening and so on. So it's worth taking a quick note of that. You will note that on the 1st to the 5th of July, the FA will take the platforms back down again. That is for the player registration. So it's been down the last 5 days for the affiliations. And then 1st to 5th of July is when your players' registrations end and will roll over to the next season.
Just 2 quick ones, John. I've got 2 questions.
Okay.
Andy Bryant has asked, when does the platform for football open for leagues to start their affiliation process?
It's already open, Andy. If you go to competitions.thefa.com, you should be able to access that straight away. I'll have to double check on whether the sanction is open yet. Pretty sure we've opened it tomorrow onwards, but I will, Andy, let me make a note and I'll come back to you tomorrow if that's okay.
And we've got a raised hand from Mark. So Mark, I'm just going to allow your mic now. So if you just unmute yourself, you should be able to speak.
So
Oh, I think you've muted yourself again, Mark.
sorry to be jumping to on a staff's FA meeting. This is really, really good stuff. Thanks for the invites from those in the background. What about pro clubs? Because this is so grassroots, but pro clubs have to do this to get over the line to play fixtures.
Yeah, so pro clubs will be opening a week early, so pro clubs can access this from the 12th of June. So they can start as of next Monday. So you will only need. I appreciate with pro clubs you're going to have a lot of teams. You're going to need to get your first team in straight away. So you can now affiliate teams on a team by team basis. So if you just need your first team done straight away, you can get that done first and follow that up with your youth teams and reserve teams, under 21s teams and so on as you go along and as they're ready. But you can access that early and you should be able to access it from Monday next week. Hope that answers your question, Mark.
Okay to share that with the other 72 in the EFL, because the information we're getting from Wembley sadly isn't the best.
Let me clarify with them and I'll see if I can get an actual FA newsletter or some variety, some actual confirmation out for you. So that should be actually the same for step 4 and above. However, I will clarify opening date and I will clarify what access is going to look like for you. So if you leave that with me, Joe, can you just make a note of Mark's name and club for me, and I'll see if I can come back to you tonight, Mark?
Yep, not a problem. I've got that anyway. That's fine.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll try and get you an answer as quick as I can on that, Mark, because I appreciate time is of the essence for pro clubs. So I will do my best on getting you an answer as soon as I can. So now I know this says thank you. That's not the end of this evening. So thank you for listening to where we're up to so far. I'm just going to unshare my screen and then reshare it on the new platform. As previously mentioned, the one part is where I actually take you through the affiliation steps, which might sound catastrophic to a affiliation evening. However, that is literally about 2 or 3 steps that you would miss, and that is just selecting the insurance. So just give me 2 moments.
Just a quick one, John, while you're looking through things. Colin has asked, going back to what we were just talking about with Mark,
Yes.
what about the academy teams at pro clubs?
So it's if you have a pro team connected with the club, that opens you up to the early access for it.
If that answers everything for you, Colin, can you just acknowledge in the chat? If not, I'll look at your raised hand and I'll unmute your mic for you. Two seconds, John.
That's okay. You're buying me some valuable time right now, so. Okay, any more questions at all, Joe?
Just waiting for Colin's acknowledgement on whether that answers his question, that's all. He raised his hand, so I'm guessing everything's all right with you, Colin.
Brilliant. I'll take that as a yes. So,
oh
good
no,
news.
He's raised his hand again. Hang on.
If you just unmute Colin's microphone, I'll see what I can do.
Will do.
Just whilst Colin is doing that, good news, I've managed to hack into the FA's version of the affiliation portal, so I can show you everything I've just said about not being able to show you. I now can. So apologies for the confusion with that.
Right, Colin, just unmute your mic. You should be able to speak now.
Thank you. I think, John, previously at pro clubs, all of the different age groups in the academy have been included in the full team affiliation. Is that going to be the same, or is it going to be £15 for every age group?
So I'll clarify the costings separately, because they vary and they have changed this season. Because previously you would have paid a club fee, then you would have paid team fees. We no longer affiliate clubs, we only affiliate teams now, so it's going to slightly change it. So I've got a document for that, Colin, which I can forward on to you, and in fact I'll forward on to everybody that's come this evening, because I'm sure they'll find that useful. But I will forward that document on to you, Colin. That's a good shout. So affiliation costs. Thank you. Okay, any more questions, Joe, before we go into the demonstration? Because I appreciate we've just gone past the half-hour mark, and I don't want to keep everybody here all evening. I'm sure you've got better things to be doing on a Monday night. So I'll take that as a no, and I'm going to...
Looks all good.
Fantastic. I'm going to move on in that case. So let me just reshare my screen. And Joe, would you mind just letting me know once that comes through? And you can see that on screen.
Yep, it's all loaded up on my end. Anyone with any issues, just pop it in the chat and we'll have a look for you.
Fantastic. Okay, so as you'll see, it's very similar to what you're already seeing in terms of player registrations. And I'll show you what you need to do before you go to the point of affiliating. And anybody that's done any form of player registrations at any point over the past season or two will be familiar with the FA's traffic light system of red, amber and green. And that theme continues here. So you can see on the right hand side that we've got 3 boxes in terms of officials, qualifications and team grounds. And it probably won't come as a massive surprise to you that you need to ensure that these have got 3 ticks for each club or each team for you to then be able to affiliate that team. If I scroll down, I'm not sure any of these are in a position to affiliate. So none of them are in a position to affiliate at the moment. So we need to go through and we need to basically get these all green ticked for us to then be able to go ahead and affiliate them. So if we take the under-6 Pufflings, and we can see that their officials and their qualifications are okay, but their grounds are missing at the moment. So if we go in here, click on ground, you can see that's already selected, and you can see very clearly it's got a big amber warning sign saying every team requires a match day ground. Please select one. So if you go in and select this button here, this will then show you all of your grounds that are currently connected to your club. Now, you might look down this list and notice that the ground you require is not there, which is to be expected. So you will be required to add the ground to your club. By doing so, I'm just going to take Brockton Football Club because I know they're quite close to our office. So if we go to Brockton Football Club on Siltmoor Lane, and let me just zoom out a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. So you can either use this list or you can use Pitch Finder, where it will show you a map and you can select the one off the map. For now, we're just going to add Brockton. So Brockton is now associated with our club. And this is all the stuff that, again, what I'm showing you now is all the stuff that you can do straight away. You don't need to wait for affiliation to open to be able to complete this. If we go back into Team Grounds, go to Actions, you can see Brockton is now available for us to select. We'll press confirm, nice big green tick saying we're okay. And that team, the under-6s, are now in a position for us to affiliate. If we go through and pick another one here, the under-7s Froglets, you can see that they're missing both a ground and qualifications. So if we go in and we'll select, they can play at Wembley. So we'll select Wembley Stadium. And if we click on officials, you'll see here that it shows you who is and isn't in a position to be able to move forward in terms of their role requirements. If you hover over, it will show you that person's date of their DBS, when they achieved it and when it expires, and the same for any other qualifications that they have. And you can see if we look at this person here, that their status for their child safeguarding is not in date, or they don't hold it at all. So you're going to need to do one of two things with this. You're either going to need to get this individual to complete that before they're in a position to remain part of this team, or you can remove that person and re-add them when they do hold the relevant documentation. For this instance, we're going to remove this person. And if we now go back, we'll see that the Froglets are fully green and they're okay to go ahead and affiliate. Moving down to these under-8s, and just to show you something slightly different with one of these, you can go in here, as previously mentioned, and you can change your team's details. So if they've decided to stay at the same age range or move up, some of you will previously know that when you've come to do your affiliations that you're trying to add a female player to a male team and it doesn't let you, and you may need to swap that to mixed. No longer will you be required to come to us to do that for you. You will now be able to complete that yourself by changing the gender of your team here. You might have a team that have moved on to a higher age range. They want to play up a year. You can do that also. So you can change that team as you see fit. The officials, if you would like to add an official to your team, you might want to add a coach or an assistant manager. This is very much the same as the grounds. So if I go to add official, it's going to show me everybody that is already in this club. If I'm not in this club, so if I search my name, I am not in the club, so I need to be associated with the club to be able to be added. So if I come in here and search my details, and I do a quick find here, it might help if I put the right date of birth. If I do a quick search, it's then going to come back and it's going to find me on here. So I'll go along and add myself to this club. And you can see here, because I've got 2 fan numbers, that fan number does not hold the relevant requirements to be able to hold that position. I don't have a DBS on that fan number, so you can see these roles are grayed out. I can't be added unless I hold the relevant requirements. So if I change that to my actual fan number, you will see that I can select that role for my fan number that does have the DBS on. So I add myself and go back. I'm now in this club as a manager. I have a DBS. I've got my safeguarding. So I am good to go in terms of joining that. And it's that simple to add somebody to a team as a manager or a coach, assistant manager or assistant coach. Once they're in the club, all you would then do, if you go to search official now, and if we search my name again, you can see I'm now in the list. Really straightforward for us to add. Joe, just before I go on to the next point, is there any questions at all in the chat?
Nothing right now, but if anyone wants to ask anything, now is your chance, or pop your hand up and we'll sort that for you.
Brilliant. I'll keep going for now, Joe, but please just feel free to interrupt if there is anybody. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some of these teams to leagues. Really straightforward. We go to manage competitions. We go to assign to league. You get your list of teams that are applicable to join a league. And for this instance, I'm going to go for an under 8s. And you can use the filters if you wish. I'm going to say I want it in Staffordshire. And I'm going to say that I want to join the Mid-Staffs League. So I'll do a search. It comes back and says, this is the Mid-Staffs League. Yes, I'd like to join them. And hit next. For those of you that are with a league or a secretary of a league this evening, what that will then do is come to you, highlight to you that a team has joined your league, and you will then be required to allocate them to a division. From a club perspective, you don't need to do anything else. The league will then pick your team and move it to the relevant division. But it's as straightforward as that to add a team to the league. If we want to add teams to a county cup, we're going to go and see if we can find one that's the correct age. Let's go for those. And you can see it then comes back and it only shows you the applicable cups. For example, Staffordshire FA have a under 15s County Youth Challenge Cup, which is open to under 15s boys teams that play on a Sunday. So if when you've set that team up, you've specified that it's a boys team under 15s and their day of play is a Sunday, that will then match up with the competitions. Therefore, what I'm getting at is that it'll only show you the cups that you're eligible to enter. You wouldn't have an adult team that could join a youth cup or a Saturday team that could join a Sunday cup, for example. On this instance, we're going to go ahead and say, yes, we want to join the Test County Cup. Confirm and submit. And if we scroll down, you can now see this under 21s team are in a county cup or specified a county cup, although they don't have a league. So we'll fix that at the same time. And we'll go for, let's see what we've got. Where have they gone? Under 21s. We'll go for the Staffordshire County Senior League. Press OK. And that team is now in a league and a county cup. And they're ready to go. So you'll see we've got a couple of teams here that are ready to affiliate and a couple of teams that are not ready to affiliate. However, we're going to push on and affiliate some of these teams. So once you click the affiliate button, it's going to come through and just give you a little bit of information in terms of affiliating. Please read through that at your own leisure. However, for now, we're going to hit start and it's going to give you a quick overview. If you've got any of your key officials that are not in a position to be affiliated, for example, you've got a welfare officer for youth football that doesn't hold the correct qualifications, it will not let you proceed until you've taken the relevant action. As you can see here for the declarations, it is telling us we have to take action. So we're going to do that. We're going to hit update. It's going to bring us to our safeguarding declarations that I mentioned earlier. So we're going to hit accept on these. It's going to ask us to view them. And again, I'm not going to make you read through these now, so just read these in your own leisure. But once you've viewed them, you can then accept. So we're going to do that on both of them. And you can see just how quick this is. So we'll accept both of those, and then we'll hit back to affiliation. And you can now see that there's no action required. So we're going to hit yes, I'm happy, and I want to proceed. It's then going to list us all of our teams. So every team that you've just seen on that list, it's going to show us all of those. And as you can see, all of these here have got missing requirements. It will not let us affiliate those teams until they're ready to go. So for now, we're going to select just one of these and we're going to proceed. It's worth noting that, as mentioned previously, this is a test environment. So do not take any notice of any of the costs. These are all just randomly set by the FA in this test environment. It is different for every county FA. So we're going to go through and it's going to ask, do we want to purchase club insurance or upload our own? So this is what was previously public liability. So we're going to say we want to purchase the club insurance through the county FA. So this will be Sports Guard. We're going to say, yes, we want to take that. We're going to pick the level of cover that we require. And some of you have previously requested the insurance documents, the policy schedules. You can view these online now. So you can now get these directly. You'll no longer be required to ask us to supply a copy for you. For now, we're going to say, yes, we want that one. And we're going to pick next. And then it's going to ask us about our team insurance. Do we have our own team insurance? Or do we want to purchase Sports Guard's version of that? For this one, we're going to pick Sports Guard. And it's going to come back and ask us what teams would we like to select insurance for. If you're affiliating 1, 2, 5 or 10 teams at a time, this will let you select the relevant cover for those teams. It's worth noting here that on this example, it's giving you 3 different options. Staffordshire FA don't offer a low, medium or high. We offer the highest level possible to give you the best cover. So you won't have multiple options. You'll have the one to select. If you've got more than one team that you're doing at one time, you can apply that to everybody in one go and press save. Again, documents are available there if you want to view them. We're going to press next. This gives us an overview of every cost that we're about to incur. And if there's any additional products that you wish to add, normally there is some first aid kits and stuff like that. If you would like to purchase any, you can select the additional products from here. As you can see, that automatically updates it on the right-hand side. If you wish to have this information broke down a little bit more, you can see here, it will break it down to individual teams for you. And then once you're in a position that you're happy, you're ready to affiliate that team, you'd press proceed to payment. That will then generate the invoice. That invoice will then be sat in payments ready for you. You click proceed to pay. You tap in your card details. So I want to pay by card. Now, of course, there's not a live card payment system, so it's not going to allow me to process a payment through. But you would make the payment, and as soon as you've made that payment, that team is affiliated. And that is it. That is the whole process that you will see. What you'll see here now is, because this team is invoiced and not paid for yet, their affiliation status is changed to invoice. It's like a brownie amber sort of colour. So that will remain there until you've made payment. And it's only once you've made payment that will then change to green. Now, I know a few of you will be asking, what about our affiliation numbers? And who do I give our affiliation numbers to? There is no longer an affiliation number. They do not exist anymore. The reason for that is your affiliation number would cover the entire club, with the FA moving away from club affiliation to team affiliation, it's no longer possible for them to proceed with individual team affiliation numbers, and they are changing this to an affiliation status. As you can see here, a lot of these are currently unaffiliated. Any of those that are pointing to a league will show that they are unaffiliated until they've completed this process, and it will then change to green and show they're affiliated. It's only at that point that your league will issue you fixtures. It's only at that point that you should play friendly fixtures as well. You should not play those unless you are correctly affiliated. If you are playing in tournaments or small-sided games throughout the summer, you can either screenshot this, or if you contact the office, we can provide your club ID, which will also show that you're affiliated as well. But you will no longer require an affiliation number. It is switched to an affiliation status. Joe, at that point, do we have any hands up or any questions at all?
A couple of questions.
Okay.
Just one from Paul. Paul has asked, every time you submit an affiliation, will you get prompted to have public liability every time?
No, very good question and a very good point. So you will only be required to add the public liability insurance on the first team that you affiliate. Once you've done the first team, it's automatically applied to everybody else. If you add it to the first team and then leave them on invoiced, like the Froglets here, for example, it's not going to let you go and affiliate more teams, because it's not got the it's not going to allow you to add the public liability again. So the first team is the most important one, or first selection of teams if you're doing more than one. So if I try and go and affiliate now, it's likely going to tell me I can't do any more because this one needs paying. There we go. So that is perfectly led into that you have to pay for the first one to then add more, and that is because that first one holds the public liability or the club insurance, and it will not let you proceed any further until that one is paid. So to save yourself any hassle, the first one you put through, just pay for it there and then, and you won't be hit with this screen here. Any more questions, Joe?
Mark has asked for a bit more information on payments for pro clubs, if possible.
Okay, so you do have the option to pay via the system, via card, if you want to pay via the card for the system. If you would prefer to pay via cash or check or backs, that is still an option. However, that's where it then comes back manual to us, because we obviously either need to allocate the backs payment to your club, or allocate the cash or the check to your club also. So it is fully automated if you make payment with the card there and then. However, if you get it to this stage where we are now, with it being invoiced, then you would need to wait until that backs payment or cash or check has been allocated. So those options are still available, but it just means it wouldn't be as fully automated as somebody that was then paying on a card.
Right, one more question, then we've got a couple of raised hands. So Adam has asked, can the FA send invoices to be paid specifically by the treasurer, as they don't have a card payment specifically for their club?
Yeah, so anybody in those 4 key roles can see these tabs, and they will see the payments tab there. So for example, if you're the secretary and you've just bought 5 teams through here, and you want these 5 teams to go ahead and be affiliated, but as a secretary you don't have the club's card, your treasurer can log in, click on here, click proceed to pay, and they can pop the details in there. So the treasurer can come straight on and get those. You've then got the option later to download those invoices and so on, should you wish to do so. But a treasurer can come in at any point and pay those invoices when they're there to be paid. So hopefully that answers the question. If not, if they don't have a card, revert back to what I said previously about the cash and a check, or the backs payment. So they're still options as well, but your treasurer can see that invoice accordingly.
Just 2 quick ones. Actually, I think Mark's answered that one for us. Personal cards should be fine, shouldn't they, for payments?
Absolutely, yeah. So personal cards are fine. What a number of secretaries have previously done is made a payment from their own card and then made the claim back from the club for the specific amount. That's not uncommon. So yes, you can use your own card. It doesn't need to be in the name of a club. Ideally, if you got it in the club's account, it keeps everything nice and tidy for you. But yes, you can use your own personal card should you wish to do so.
Right, last one before we go to the raised hands. Mark has asked us to tell the AFL that there is no affiliation number this year. We can sort that for you, Mark.
We need us to tell the AFL.
if possible, or relay that to the FA.
I will relay that. And I assume, Mark, are they asking, if you want to pop it in chat, I assume they're asking for that number then?
Yeah, by the look of Mark's thumbs up, I'm guessing that's what they're asking for at the minute, but...
Okay, that's fine, I've made a note, and I'll get onto that this evening.
Right, Richard, I have allowed your mic now, so if you just unmute yourself, you should be able to talk.
You might need to, whilst we've unmuted you, Richard, you then might need to unmute it yourself again.
Yeah, we've given you mic access. If you go to the top right-hand corner, Richard, you might be able to see the microphone. There we go.
Ah, there we go. Hi, sorry about that.
That's all right, Richard. What can I do for you?
Yeah, just a quick question. We play in the Cores League.
Yes.
We are currently under Bradwell as a club. We are the development side. We have decided to pull away from that club this season coming.
Okay.
Do I need to jump on that club portal app and fold the team? The development team?
So are they still going to have a remaining team at Bradwell?
Yes.
If you can do it now and fold that team, or you can ask the existing secretary to fold the team, or as a third option, they just don't affiliate them for this season, and if they leave them like these ones here where they're unaffiliated, they'll just sit there for the season as unaffiliated, and nothing for you to worry about. In terms of yourself, if you've not already done this, because you're moving to a new club, you will need to ask us to set a new club up for you to give you access to this, and then you can complete your affiliation. So if you've not done that already, just drop an email into support@staffordshire.fa.com and we'll get that set up for you. It's quite a quick process.
Thank you very much. That's brilliant, Dennis.
No problems.
Cheers.
One more raised hand.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Meeting guest, apologies, I'm not too sure what your name is, but you should be able to know.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's all good.
It's Peter Cope of Leek Town Ladies. I had a bit of a nightmare trying to get onto Teams tonight. So I didn't even put my name in when I finally connected.
You're with us though, Peter. That's the main thing.
Good stuff. Good stuff. One quick question, because I joined the meeting a little bit late.
Yeah.
You know, when you came over and you got a list of officials with the club.
Yes.
How does that list of officials get populated in the first place?
So anybody that you've currently got in the club. So anybody that is attached as a so you just going back a little bit, and I'll try and answer your point in a second. Each club has key roles, key officials. So these are your big ones in terms of secretary, chair, treasurer, welfare officers. They're the sort of 4 key roles, and those roles must be filled for you to be able to affiliate. The additional roles outside of that are roles such as manager, assistant manager, coach, assistant coach, play registration officer, and so on. So anybody that you've currently got in one of those roles will be pulled into this new system. But you might want to go through, and if I show you here, you might want to go through and say, actually, Philip Barber, for example, Philip's left. So I don't need Philip, so I'm going to clear him up. We're going to get rid of Philip. And also, we don't need Helen. Helen's left, so we'll get rid of Helen. and I would absolutely recommend going through and getting rid of
Doing a little
anybody
bit-
that is
doing a
no
little bit
longer
of
part of
house
your club.
effectively. Yeah.
Sorry, say again, Peter.
Doing a little bit of housework effectively.
Doing a bit of
House-
spring cleaning, absolutely, yeah. Get rid of anybody that is not applicable to your club anymore, because it just
Yeah.
makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, obviously, at Leek Town we have, I'm sure you're aware of Georgina, who's our club safeguarding officer.
Mrs.
I
Chandler,
think
yeah.
she's likely to appear on numerous places within our club, both the men's and the ladies.
Yes.
Does that matter that she's
No, if you
available
use
selection for various?
let's use Ian Atkins as an example here. Ian's got 2 club roles and
Yeah.
9 total roles. So it
Got
doesn't
you.
matter. You can see all his roles here that he's involved with. So you can see that information there. And yeah, you can see that information. So it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how many roles that they
Can have
hold.
a sit down with Georgina because obviously she's got an awful lot on her plate, and I can see now
Yeah.
why she said to me, I was quite happy to deal with affiliations last year, but I'm asking you to do them this year.
This process should be easier. Should be easier for you.
Yeah.
It's a lot more streamlined, and you don't have to. You probably missed at the start of the meeting. Previously, you would have had to have had every single team, manager and coach within the club ready and in a position to affiliate. If you had one manager that had a DBS check missing, it would hold up the entire club from being affiliated. Now you can affiliate every single team, bar that one, whilst you're waiting for that DBS to be sorted. So it should open it up and make it a lot easier for you, Peter. However, we're here to support. So if you need our support, or if you need guides, videos, they'll all be provided. You can access all of those, and we'll make sure that you furnish with them.
It was just that last season, Georgina effectively dealt with everything, and I think she's got so many plates spinning at one time. She's basically saying it's a bit easier for each club to deal with their own this time.
Yeah, understand that.
I should be dealing with our ladies first team and our ladies reserve team at the same time.
Yeah, understand that, Peter. If you need any support with that, please get in touch, and we'll be more than happy to help.
No problem. Thank you.
Fantastic. Cheers, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, Joe, do we have any more questions or any more hands up? I'm conscious of the time. We've gone over the 1 hour. I don't want to keep people all evening. So is there any more questions or hands at this stage?
No, we look all good. I believe I've answered everything else in the chat, so I think that's all for now. Any more questions, though, just pop them in the chat or raise your hand, and I'll pass them on to John.
Okay, fantastic. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give you a couple of key takeaways from this evening, for stuff that you can get in place now, or as soon as the platform for football's back up this evening. You can get all that done now, and I would urge you to get that all done before you get to the affiliation point, because hopefully what you should be able to do when you get to the 19th is just press that affiliate teams button, and everybody should be ready to go. You do them all in one go. It doesn't matter whether you do 1, 5, 10 or 100 teams at a time. You choose. It doesn't matter. You can do as many or as little as you want. But what you want to do is get yourself in a position where you're good to go on the 19th. It's not the end of the world if you don't and you do all that on the 19th, but it's just saving you time and saving you effort. So my key takeaways would be to go ahead, and everybody that you've got existing at the moment, go ahead and get the officials in place. Make sure that any officials that are missing documents or DBS checks, or they're expiring soon, to go ahead and get those in date and get those renewed, and make sure that anybody new that's joining your club is added as well. Therefore making that sort of, those two sort of tick each other's boxes, really. You can't really have one without the other. And then make sure that you've got your grounds connected with the club, and then you assign those grounds to the individual teams, and go back and clear up any of the information. So if you go to grounds, you might want to say, actually, you know what, nobody's using Broad Oak, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to tidy it up. So just do a bit of spring cleaning, as Peter mentioned, and just clean everything up, ready for you to go on the 19th. So
Sorry,
that
John,
brings us.
quick one.
Of course.
One from Lee. Lee's just asked for the cost, if we know the cost to affiliate each team. I know we've got it, but I haven't quite got that page open at the minute.
Lee, what I mentioned earlier on is on the back of this, I will send that document to everybody. So rather than everybody scribbling it down, I will send you the document out that's got the information on. So everybody that's come this evening, I've obviously emailed you the link. So I will forward that on, and it'll be published before the 19th as well. So don't worry about that. But I'll forward it on for you. I've already got it in my notes. Any more questions, Joe? Any more hands?
Nothing at the minute, but if anyone has any, just don't be afraid to just pop it up. That's not a problem.
Okay, well, what I'll do then is I'll call it time there, shall we say? So the only thing I've not showed you is paying the invoice. Obviously, we can't do that with it being a test system, but that is all you would need to do. Is once we've gone through that process, is just make the payment and then you're done. So with that said, thank you to everybody that's joined us this evening. I appreciate we've followed on a few minutes. We'll get the recording of this up and available as soon as we can. Myself and Joe will be sticking around for a few minutes afterwards. So if there's anybody that had any burning questions that they wanted us to clarify, then please feel free to stick around for 5 minutes or so, and we'll do our best to answer them. But other than that, go and get your clubs all ready to affiliate, and we'll open the window on the 19th. And rest assured, I'm actually going to unshare my screen and reshare the link. Give me a moment. I'm just going to reshare the link or the information to the support. Go. Get that back up. And I'm going to pop on wherever it's gone. That one for you. So if you've not already taken a photo of that on your phone or you've noted it down, I would absolutely recommend just making a quick note of those. If you run into any trouble at all, please, please, please don't feel as though you're on your own with it. We're here to help and support. You can, if it's a ridiculous time at night or in the morning and you can't get hold of anybody in the office, use the FA's knowledge base. There's loads of information there to keep up to date with sort of how the platform's getting on. If there's any planned downtime, then the grassroots service desk on Twitter is brilliant. And of course, you can contact us via email or give us a call in the office, and we'll do our best to support as well. But I'm going to leave that on screen. Thank you very, very much for your time this evening. I think, Joe, did we have at one point about 75, 80 people join? So that's brilliant to see so many people in. I'll wish everybody the best for the next couple of weeks with the close season, but we'll turn our attention to the new one quite quick as we normally do. And hope everyone has a nice rest before we go again for the 23-24 season. So thank you, everybody, and have a good evening. And as I say, we'll be sticking around for anybody who's got a couple of questions. Thank you.
Just got some in the chat, John.
Yes.
Right. Start with, I think Cheryl might have answered it anyway, but just in case, when can we start registering players on the system for the new season?
5th of July.
I think, yeah, Cheryl, thank you for that.
Yeah,
Jackie,
the 5th of July. So just to elaborate on that, your player registrations run until the 1st of July. So any player that is currently registered will automatically be deregistered from their league on the 1st of July. The platform for football and player registrations will be down from the 1st to the 5th, whilst the FA cancel those registrations. And from the 5th of July onwards, you'll be able to resubmit your players for registration. However, small caveat on that, some leagues do set their own entry date or their opening date for registrations. By default, it's the 5th of July. Some set it later, so you would need to check with your league if it is later than the 5th, but most default to the 5th of July.
Right, one more question by the looks of it, and then we've got a raised hand. So Jackie has asked, from a league point of view, will the ground names move over to full-time when everything's integrated?
Yes, Jackie, it should do. That's the idea, that it's all integrated. So yes, it should do. But I will clarify So ground integration. I will get you an answer, and I is that Jackie Pritchard, I assume?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Noah has asked, their players are already unregistered, so will this affect any friendlies or tournaments that they take part in until re-registration?
No.
Perfect.
It's a simple answer to that one. No. So so long as you've taken the insurance out from the 19th onwards, so your current insurance will run until the 30th of June. So your season 22-23 insurance will run, and this is only for Sports God, will run until the 30th of June. On the 1st of July, that insurance will then lapse. So if you're playing tournaments or friendlies from the 1st of July onwards, and you're not affiliated, that team is not affiliated, you are not insured, regardless of player registrations.
Jill has lowered her hand, so I'm guessing everything's all right with you, Jill. But if there's any issues, just let us know. I think that's all the questions we had, though. That's it.
Okay, bro. I'll, as I say, me and Joe are sticking around. So if anybody did have any questions that you wanted to stick around for, then we're here. Otherwise, have a good evening and feel free to log off.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for your time. Cheers, Ian, for the thumbs up. Take care. Joe, if you've not done so already, can you stop the recording for me?
Yep, will do.
And then will you shout up if there is any questions in the chat that we've missed?